Alright, so before I jump into the full build here, I wanted to show the instruction page for this, Ogre Z. So this is called Ogre because a guy named Todd Ogre made it, and he decided to call it Ogre because it's close to how you spell his last name. So this is the full instruction set, and I'll put a link to this. It has a lot of good pictures, a lot of instructions. It has the actual 3D printed STL, the object files to print. Down at the bottom here, you can see it has a hardware list, which is really handy if you want to print this out when you go to the hardware store to pick up your nuts and bolts. This step-by-step is a little bit tough to follow, and he does throughout here say, this is still a work in progress. I had trouble, figuring out when to put the spindle in, and I had to undo and redo a couple of steps, so just watch out when you're building this. And also, at one point he had mentioned that this build is a derivative of the Meticulous Z, which I have open here as well. This is from the Maslow forum. The handy thing about having this link, I'll put this in the description too, but you have this buy tab here, and this has a list of all the different hardware you need as far as the lift kit, the lead screws and stuff like that. Not nuts and bolts, but the the mechanism that helps lift the whole. So you can see here in some of these pictures you need a lift kit, which is going to include like pulleys and gears and rods, smooth rod, threaded rod. So they're all listed here. If you click on this lead screw kit, it takes you to Amazon to get the exact kit you need, and this is handy so that when it comes time to assemble, you have all the correct parts. So let's get started. Hi Miles.
Hi.
What are we working on today?
Today we're working on an upgrade called the Ogre Z-axis upgrade for the Maslow CNC.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
And so this is the slide for the CNC.
Okay.
And all of these blue parts and this wooden slide came with it. And so did this.
Did that come with the CNC? Did that come with the kit, or is that separate?
This came with it, but this little red piece right here,
Mm-hmm.
My dad 3D printed it.
So this is the router base, but it actually doesn't come with this kit. You have to buy this separately.
Oh.
This is an aftermarket product. This is something that you can buy. This is a plunge router, and people buy it to have in their garage to just use by hand. But
Okay, that makes sense.
But the people at MakerMade adapted the sled to hold this base. And the problem with this base is here, right?
Yeah.
So what can you tell us about the issue with this piece right here?
Because it's like it's like not
Hold it.
slipping. It's like slipping or something.
Yes, that's exactly right. So when you buy the router, it's a rigid brand, and it's the what is it, R2202 or 22002 or something like that. It's the one that MakerMade recommends. It's the one they all recommend, which it works fine, but it comes with this piece right here. So, and I did the mod on this. You can see this brass collet. See this brass thing? Brass collar, call it. I Gorilla glued it onto this piece, and in here you have this orange little clip, and this orange clip acts as the thread. It's a really kind of a strange way they do it. It's not perfect. So there's a spring here. So the spring pushes back and it creates tension, and that's what that this little orange piece, see where it's all black? Right there, that's where it's actually riding around on the inside on this, right? So I 3D printed a replacement part for it. You can see it's like almost exactly the same shape. It has the same little knockout, this little square, and there's the little knockout, and that little square rides in a little notch inside the spindle. The spindle is the huge drill part, the big motor that has the chuck and the bit on it that actually does the work. So this 3D printed part seems to work fairly well. The only problem is it's kind of stiff, and it resists turning. It's not perfect. And also at the very, very top of its height, it tends to slip out of the notch. So I don't know what the fix for that would be. This square on the inside needs to be a little bigger. So because of all of those Z-axis issues, and not only that, but when you do have the stock, or if you did a 3D printed replacement, no matter what, this lead screw is going to be very slow because of the coarseness of the threads. See how far apart they are?
Yeah.
They're not fine threads, they're coarse. So no matter what, the motor can only turn this a certain amount of speed, and it moves up and down very slowly. Yeah. So what the Z-axis, the Ogre Z-axis upgrade does is it replaces all of that. So here's the replacement lead screw. And you can see what I was talking about. The threads of this are much finer. See if I can get the autofocus to work. Yeah, I guess it doesn't really much matter. You can pretty much tell. Yeah, see how fine the threading is? It's almost maybe 3 times as fine. Maybe twice or 3 times as fine as the other threading. So that means it should move twice or 3 times as fast. All right, so that's the explanation of Ogre Z, right?
Yeah.
So now I'm going to pan over to the table here. We have all of our parts. So what I'm showing first is all the 3D printed parts. Can you tell us what some of those parts are? The ones you know?
So
you can start with the tower and the base if you want. The big parts.
Oh. So this one, this like rests.
Hold it up.
This piece rests like on it, right?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
And this print was this the longest print you've ever done?
That was the longest print I've ever done. 31-hour print time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it was like overnight.
It was more than a full day of printing, yeah. Not just overnight, but like a whole day and then into the next day, yeah.
Yeah.
And so what are those things in there? What are those big things sticking out?
These are threaded rods.
Yep. That's called threaded rod, and that's not the same thing as a lead screw. That's different than this, even though they look the same, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Threaded rod is for like structure. It's to connect two things and put bolts on and make things rigid. This lead screw is more mechanical to move.
It's like, don't you have one on your printer?
Those are actually lead screws. Here, let me see if I can tilt this whole thing around and look at the 3D print.
The one.
So this is my Prusa.
The one right there.
Yeah.
On the right or on the left are lead screw.
Those are lead screws. Yes.
Those two.
Right. And those do exactly what this is going to do. They do exactly the same thing. They transform the movement of a motor into mechanical movement for the part.
Yeah, it looks exactly the same.
They are. They might in fact be exactly the same thread and pitch and everything. Wow. Yeah, they might be identical. Okay, so what else do we have? What about this part?
This just, so it seems like it's super tall.
Yeah.
But this is just to like display, right?
Yeah, I had set that on there. Let me move the camera back. We got to work on our camera work. Yeah, I had set it on there. You can do it too if you want. I think it was the other way. The other way. No. I mean flip it. Like, yeah, white part down. Nope. There you go. Yep. Yeah, I had set it on there just to test the fit, kind of see how the spacing was. And so that does make it kind of look like a big tall. Go ahead and pick it up. Take a step back. That does make it look like some big tall contraption, right? Hold it up a little. Up. Yeah. So there's the whole thing. But that top piece is going to slide down. Okay, go ahead and set it back down. So this piece, the lower base gets bolted to the sled, right? Yeah. We're going to I have laid out here on the table, I have all my parts. I have a whole bunch of parts here. Let me see if I can. Yeah, we're going to need to practice our camera work. All right, so I have all my parts laid out here. I have these. These are threaded inserts, they're called. So these go into the wood, and then I have bolts. I have my big bunch of hardware here from Ace Hardware, and we have bolts that will go through the base of this. If you turn it around for the camera. See where the nail is?
Yeah.
Yeah, the reason that nail is there, in the instructions, the creator, Todd, says to nail, fit it first and then nail into the wood just a little bit to make some guide holes. and then we take the nails out, and we're going to drill and put these inserts in, and then bolts are going to go through the holes where we put the nails, and that's what bolts it down.
That's cool.
Then we'll put the top tower down. Then we have, here's more 3D printed parts, right?
Yeah.
So these are like retaining collars. These hold the spindle. So these go around the spindle, and you can see we have a notch here, and that notch is the same notch as the stock part or the 3D printed one I made. So that notch goes into the spindle and holds it in place. So once these are holding the spindle, then we have smooth rod. So I have two smooth rod here. If you look at the 3D printer, you'll see smooth rod also. So the smooth rod runs through here. Okay, so the spindle actually rides up and down on this rod. It actually goes like this, moves, right? And it keeps it perfectly straight because this rod is straight. Then we're going to have this piece right here. Okay, the lead screw is going to go through this. This is going to be bolted on here. The lead screw will be through here. So every time the lead screw moves, these pieces ride up and down on the guide rods, the smooth rods, and that causes the whole spindle to move up and down.
That's cool.
So that's the whole idea, right?
Yeah.
So we have some other parts here we can talk about for a minute. This is a guide plug. This actually fits right in the center. Why don't you pick up that router base? Yeah, and we can actually test fit. We can test fit this all now. So this is like a guide ring. This is actually the first thing you're supposed to print. So this fits nice and centered in the hole there. And you can see here, this cutout kind of gives you a compass, sort of, right? Helps you line it up. This is the other side of the ring, the main ring. So with this piece and the main tower, the bottom of the tower, form a solid ring.
Yeah.
So it's going to be something like this. Okay, why don't you go ahead and bring the tower over.
Oh yeah, I see it right here.
Mm-hmm. Now, I've already done a step off camera to get it started, and that is I epoxied these. Yeah, go ahead and set it there. It should fit just fine. Yeah, there we go. Okay, you can hear that nail riding around on the wood. So I already epoxied these into the base of this, and I used this Loctite plastic bonder. This is one of my favorite products. This thing is great because once you apply it and it dries and cures, it is super. It's like you welding them together. It's really, really good. The only drawback to this is as soon as the bonder touches the activator, it instantly becomes hard. So you don't have any work time. You have to do it very quickly. Yeah. But these are in there now. The only way to get these out of here would be you'd have to hack it to pieces. You'd have to like cut it with a tool or chip it away.
Yeah, you can't pull it out.
Yep. All right, so that's in place. The next step we're going to do is we're going to nail some guide holes. We're going to hammer some guide holes. All right. Okay, now I have these 3D printed parts too. Do you know what these are?
Didn't you say this was like on the top?
Yeah, these are like caps. So once the let's see. Once the top part of the tower is pushed down on these rods will stick up quite a bit, and then we'll saw them off with a Dremel. We'll use a rotary tool, which is a Dremel is called a rotary tool. So here, hold them up for the camera. And then on the top of the threaded rods, we'll put washers and nuts, which will actually bolt the whole thing down together. And then these covers sit on top and cover up the nuts and just give it a finished appearance. Yeah. Right? And then we have this piece. This is a pretty cool piece. So if you look at this fits, once your spindle's in place, this is like a dust. This kind of keeps the dust from coming back out this direction. It kind of creates a chamber is what it does really. And I guess it slows down the airflow enough that the suction, so if you have too much airflow, the suction doesn't work as well as if you have a limited amount of airflow. So the way these work You can see there's holes. If you look at the pattern of holes,
yeah.
So there'll be bolts. There'll be bolts that go through this down into the wood, and then in this piece we're going to put little magnets. We'll either just press fit them in there, or we can epoxy them in there with that epoxy, and then they line up perfectly with the top of the nuts, and then this will snap into place with the magnet. And that's pretty handy because then if you ever need to remove this, you just pull it off. It's not permanently affixed. The magnets hold it in place.
Yeah, that makes sense.
So that pretty much explains the whole thing. Well, let's see, there's a couple of other things we can explain. So we have these pieces here this is a kit I got on Amazon. Whoa, camera work. So we have all this hardware here. Do you have any idea what any of this stuff does?
No.
No? Okay. So these hold the bottom of the lead screw in place. So one of them sits right here. You can see it right there. And then one will sit here at the top. See it up there. Okay, so we have two of them. So that's what holds the lead screw in place. These, I believe, there's actually parts in here that we're not going to be using. So these are actually, if you didn't have a piece like this with the bearing in it, then you would bolt this onto whatever thing you were trying to move, and your guide rod would go through there.
Oh.
Yeah. See the smooth rod? You can fit that smooth rod through here.
Yep.
Go ahead. Hold both. See, now you can move it and it's real smooth.
Yep.
Yeah. Yeah. So these parts we're actually not going to use, but we can hang on to them. We'll just put them in we'll store them because we might be able to use them later. So here we have our gears. This will be the drive one. So this will attach to the motor, right? Or is it the other way around? Maybe it's the other way around. No, that should be right. This will attach to the motor. That doesn't seem right. And then this one attaches to the lead screw. Let's see, I'm pretty sure this one's the right size, but it looks like our drive gear is actually not the right size. See how big that bore is? See how big that hole is?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, so that does not fit on here. And that's actually the first time I've test fitted that. So this is the Z-axis motor right here. And these two brackets these come with the Maker Made kit. And those will actually bolt onto the back here. Let's go over here again. Grab one of those brackets. Here, grab this bracket. Hold it up to the back of the tower. Let's see if we can get it on camera. To the back of the top part of the tower. See how there's 4 holes right there?
Oh, yeah.
Oops, and my camera's not even pointing at it. Oh, this is terrible camera work. No. Yeah, it's gonna be like this, right? The motor will be down like this, sticking up.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Going up through so dark.
Right. So we'll have to remove it from that bracket. All right. So then here's the little magnets I have to press fit in. And what other pieces do we have? These are couplers. These are flexible couplers. I was gonna say you can see them on my printer, but no, we don't. You can see them over on the printer, but there's one. So we have these couplers. So that's pretty much it. That's the whole tour. We have this 3D printed piece also. Hold this up.
Wait, is this for the hose?
Yes. So that piece will actually fit right in there. You gotta flip it. Yep. Actually, that might not be the right one. That might not be the right piece. I printed 2 of them. I don't know where I put the other one at the moment. Yeah, no, I don't think that's the one. Unless it goes in, does it go in like this?
No.
I think it actually does fit in there like that. You just have to kind of have to, yeah, there you go. Twist a little and then just wiggle. Yep. Yeah, see? And then we can also sand the inside of that out to make it fit. So that's the hose adapter. That'll let the vacuum hose. Yeah. And then we're going to have to put...
Because without the vacuum, without our shop vacuum, it'd be like spraying.
Yeah.
All of the dust everywhere.
Right. It would just make a huge mess. as soon as it started cutting, it would just spray dust everywhere. It'd be a huge disaster.
And you couldn't even stand by it.
Yeah. All right, so that's the whole tour, and then next we'll begin building.